Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another SwansCast podcast. Once again, joined by Lee. So, welcome back, Lee.
Hello, how are we doing?
Yeah, good. Obviously, this is our last episode probably before Christmas. We're getting it in early this week. Got a lot to talk about today. We didn't do a proper one last week because we were joined by Kenny Jackett. So, if anyone hasn't seen that episode, go check it out. Very good chat. I really enjoyed talking to him anyway. I thought he was very easy to talk to, very nice man. Got a lot of
Yeah,
information about his time at Swansea. Do you have any highlights from
yeah,
our
he was
chat?
he was really good value, and he like I think the highlight was that I was quite surprised at how passionate he still talks about the club. Because thinking back to when he was manager, I know it's gone back quite a while ago now. He was he left the club under pressure from the fans and everything. And I thought maybe he would have a bit of not resentment, but just a bit like it was just another club that I manage. But he talks about the club so passionately, doesn't he? And I think he still really likes the club, and he had lots of nice things to say about the board at the time. And I don't know, maybe he'd come back one day. Not as a manager. He said he was finished, didn't he? But
Well, he's a sporting
in that
director role
recruit,
now, so
yeah,
if
probably do
if things
something like
don't
that.
work out with the current situation, maybe there's an opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, no, nice man. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was nice to hear. I know you're saying like you left under certain circumstances, but I think when managers leave a club, there's very often these days that it's because it's not working anymore, more than because they've run their contract out. It's more common to be because a change is needed. And he did touch on that, didn't he? He said like you kind
Yeah,
of have a time span or a shelf life, and then you need to freshen it up. And I think maybe now we can look back after all the experience in different clubs and being in football for a while. You could probably look back and understand that that's just the norm. That's just
yeah,
what happens, and there's only so far you can take a group of players before someone else needs to try something new. I feel like it came across to me that he understood that he did what he could, and it's just
yeah,
time to go.
yeah. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I think everyone should, if they got time, go back and have a listen to that one. I really enjoyed it. I should forget how successful he actually was at the club. I mean, I remember at the time going to watch the games, and it was enjoyable. But now when you kind of look back and you think he took over a year after we survived on the last day from dropping into the conference, and then taking us to the League One playoff final, getting promoted from League Two, League One playoff final, nearly getting back-to-back promotions, and it was really,
Well,
really good time to be a Swans fan. That was.
no other Swansea manager in our lifetime, anyway, would have won more silverware.
No, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we won that for I don't know, well, whatever it's called now, is 100 names in it. Football League trophy.
But it was two Welsh Cups, the
Yeah,
Johnson's Paint Trophy at the time, and
Johnson
the
Paint Trophy.
playoffs,
Yeah.
League Two playoffs.
Well, no,
And
we got up
oh,
automatic, didn't we?
sorry, yeah, automatic promotion. I You would have got a well. Did you get like a runner-up in the playoffs for League One?
I
That's what
don't
I
know.
meant. That's what I
I don't
meant.
know.
But
You get something.
maybe get a medal saying
Yeah.
got to the final. But there's not the medal you want. But I'm just saying, in terms of silverware, there's 3 cups and a promotion to go with that. So very successful time, and yeah. So go check that out if you haven't already. It's up on the channel. I'll try and remember to link it below if I can. And if you're on Spotify, it'll be the last episode. So just jump back one and check that out. And if you're on Spotify as well, if you don't mind clicking the rating, give us a 5-star if you wouldn't mind. It is Christmas, if you're feeling festive. We would really appreciate it. And I think there's a Q&A as well that pops up on your device that asks kind of like how you found the episode. So we do read the feedback and try and take it on board to try and improve going forward as well. So we would like to get more people like that on the channel. Obviously, it's not always the easiest thing, and it does take time to organise, but that's the intention going forward, is to have more content like that when we're able to organise it anyway. So watch this space, I guess, and we'll see what we can do going into 2024. But right now, it's not just us looking to improve going into 2024, but on the pitch at Swansea as well, there's a lot of change and a lot of I guess no one really knows the direction going into 2024. We didn't do an episode, as I said last week, about the Sitch of the Club. Our podcast last week was dedicated to Kenny Jackett, so we skipped a week. However, there's still no resolution to the manager situation that we would have touched on the week before when we spoke about Michael Duff being sacked. So it's been 2 weeks since that news, and we're still none the wiser to where we're going as a club. There's a few clubs in the league that are in our situation. As far as I understand, Rotherham still haven't hired, Sunderland still haven't hired, Stoke.
Yeah, Stoke
Have
are still
they?
Still
Still
they're
looking.
still looking.
So
Yeah.
there's a few clubs without a manager in the league. So I don't know why it, like, is there something going on here? Like, no one wants to take over just for Christmas? I don't know. But for us ourselves, it's all we can talk about. And the name on everyone's lips and was very expected to take the job was Chris Davis. And we're recording this now on Sunday the 17th. Obviously, Swansea played Saturday against Middlesbrough, which we'll get on to. But in the evening after that game, it was, I want to say, confirmed. What we assume is confirmed because it came out from reputable sources like BBC and Sky that Chris Davis is not going to be taking over the Swans and that it didn't work out and they have not managed to get it over the line. So, okay, the start of that news. What do you make of that news?
Yeah, I'm a bit gutted because when you think it's going to happen, you get your head around it, and I thought it was actually quite an exciting manager. I always say I really like the way we appoint managers. It was, a young manager. He was here with Brendan Rodgers. He followed Brendan Rodgers to a lot of places, and I thought it makes sense on paper. That's a really good appointment for us. He's likely to play good football. I mean, he's coaching at Spurs now, who are playing really good football. And they were speaking highly of him, like Postecoglou was saying, that he didn't want him to go, but he wasn't going to stand in his way. So I think over the last couple of games, you kind of just, even though they weren't great to watch under Sheehan, and that is what it is, and we'll come on to that, but you kind of just got ready thinking, oh, this is okay because we know he's coming in, and then just for it to be, and by all accounts it was going to happen this week. I was really looking forward to going to the Preston game on Friday night. Like, I'm, finishing work on Friday before Christmas, going to that game, first game under Chris Davis. I thought, it's really going to bring the buzz around the club. And then it just seemed like it was just, we had the game yesterday that we lost in that fashion, and then after the game, then it was just pulled out underneath us. So it just created even more bad feeling. Then last night, it was just a bit of a horrendous day, really, all round. And then we're none the wiser now. Who else is in the mix to take over?
And it's hard to even see, right? And I know there'll be people who maybe have inside knowledge or say they have, but I think no one really knows. You look at the bookies, and Chris Davis is still 2-1 favourite, but like, how much can you read into this list at all when, by all accounts, he was ruled out yesterday and he's still sitting as the favourite? Like, who actually knows what the situation is? Now, second place favourite is Alan Sheehan, 5-2, and then you got Wigan's manager Sean Maloney on the same odds. So I don't know who they're looking at. By all accounts, there's a short list of managers as a backup plan if Chris Davis didn't work out. So whether that's now being worked on, they go into target 2, and how plausible that is or who that is, I have no idea. And I just hope that it doesn't take that long, because 2 weeks ago we said, look, they got a little bit of time, but they can't take too much time because the new manager needs to come in. He needs to see what he's got in the squad so that he can address anything urgent in January. We're now on the 17th of December, and because that news only broke yesterday, you think, okay, well, it's not like they're going to announce someone tomorrow now. Like, they're going to have to kind of start talks again and go down that route with whoever it may be. So how long realistically until that person could come into the building? If it's another week, then you're a week away from January transfer window, and how long do you need to assess your squad before you can spend money? In January, it's quite easy to overspend as well, just because prices are inflated and the clubs don't want to let players go in January necessarily. So it's hard to get a bargain sometimes. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be hard. That's all.
Yeah, and you don't want to. I'm worried about rushing into a manager as well. It's kind of like, I think we had a lot of, we put a lot of our eggs in that basket, I think, with Chris Davis, it seemed like, anyway, because now that that's not happening, I think everybody, like fans, and we're just kind of like, well, who is it going to be? And you don't want to just kind of go for whoever's available as much as we do need a manager to come in pretty soon, you don't want to make the wrong decision either, because I think we've said it before. I think this is probably the most important appointment we'll make since ever, really. I guess it's to date, because I think if we get this wrong, I think we'll know where we'll end up. So
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. And the problem is as well, I think the way the bad feeling is at the club at the moment, I think unless it's kind of like a name that jumps out of you and you can get excited about, I think a lot of people are just going to be unhappy. Like, I think, like you said, if someone like Nathan Jones was to be appointed, or like Sean Maloney, I think it's just not really going to lift. It's not really going to lift the mood, and you're already up against it. Like, I think you saw with Duff, like early on, the fans didn't really take to him, and it was just bad feelings. If the new manager comes in, we're already in a bit of a sad time really at the moment. I think if a manager comes in, then everybody's kind of like, oh well, that's not very exciting, and I think the mood is just going to be even worse. And it's going to be an even bigger job for the new man to come in. So yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I'm a little bit worried at the moment, because I don't know who's out there. I'm sure someone will come from nowhere. I think you're right as well. Like, you look at the bookies odds, and it's always like nowhere near, is it? Like Chris Davis creeped up eventually. Obviously, there was something in the pipeline, but it's normally somebody that nobody knows about that comes from nowhere. So
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see who it is.
It's a tricky one, really, and I guess there's a chance that it goes to Alan Sheehan. Now, we'll go into his little run as Swansea caretaker boss now. I'm a little bit less concerned if he did end up getting a job after yesterday's performance than I was before it, is what I will say. I think it is hard, and we've all been guilty of it. Twitter's rife with it, of judging him as a manager over his 2 games, but it's kind of an impossible job to change anything in the low amount of time that he's had in that role. So we're expecting a bit too much to really see a change on the pitch that soon. But what the facts are is he got 4 points away from home, even if we didn't play very well and it didn't look very nice. And when he did have it wasn't even a full week, was it? He had a couple of days before his first home game. He changed some stuff. Obviously, they must have been working on things because of formation change going into Middlesbrough. And it did look a bit better by all accounts. So, that's a little bit of progress. You've seen some progress within a week with some points, important points gone in with it as well. People will say we were harsh to maybe have not got anything yesterday. So maybe they're tough earned points, but he's getting points and you can see some sort of progress on the pitch. So if he does end up getting a job, I'm a little bit more comfortable after yesterday's performance than I was maybe after the midweek game against Stoke.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this a million times. Maybe when you have a 3-game week, I always look to see how many teams like win all games, and it was only Leicester that won all 3. Ipswich had 2 wins and a draw in their derby, and nobody else won all 3. There's like draw, loss, win, draw, win, loss. I'm looking at the form table. Rotherham lost all 3, but it's kind of the championship. I think when you kind of step back and have a look, it's not too bad, I guess, in a week to take 4 points. But I think the problem was with Sheehan. I think when we beat Rotherham away last weekend, and there was kind of a really good feeling. I think the players rally around him because I think he is quite a likable guy, isn't he? He speaks quite well, and he's quite young as well. He's quite refreshing, and I think people can connect with that. But then I think the Stoke game in midweek, it was awful, that game. I don't know how we got away a draw with that. I mean, I'll take it, but
they were just as bad.
So bad.
They
No,
were
of course
just
they
as
were.
bad,
Yeah,
to be fair.
Of course they were. But I think that kind of worried everybody then, as in like, oh my God, we cannot have him until the end of the season, including myself. After that game, I thought, oh my God, there's no way. But again, we're all guilty of it. We got to step back, and even if a new manager comes in, there may be a bit of a rough road in the first 3-4 games. You've got to give a manager time. So, I think I agree with you a bit. I wouldn't be overly worried if he takes over. I think the objective for this season is just to stay in the league. As sad as that is, the playoffs is gone. We're not really going to do anything this year. I think the objective is to just kind of consolidate in that position and wait till we get the right manager. So if we do need to have, 2-3 more games with Sheehan in charge. The players seem to like him. From what I see, if he can just, if the players can just rally around him and he can get some decent performances out, which I think they did play all right, especially in the first half yesterday, then that might be enough just to see us through into finding the new manager. So,
well, even if he, if they're struggling to get the right man now, I'd rather not rush it. I'd just say,
yeah,
take
exactly.
it to
That's
the
what
end
I
of the
mean.
season.
I think, yeah.
And
well, I think we'll have to
see what
appoint
happens.
someone. I think we'll have to appoint someone before the end of the season. If it's not going to be Sheehan going forward, which I don't think it will be, we just have to bring in the right person before the end of the season, so maybe they can have a bit of the end of the season going into next year.
If the right person's not attainable until the
Oh
summer,
yeah,
then I'd say take over till the end of the season. And if he does an amazing job, then maybe he does put his hat in the ring. I don't know.
I know, it depends how much you risk.
If they can't get someone in now, and the only options they can get in now are not like, okay, I'm not really sure we want these guys, we're just getting one for the sake of it, then I'd happily say, right, have a contract till the summer, and then we're going to reassess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about him having it for the rest of the season.
I'm saying if I'd rather that than them to rush someone and get someone like Nathan Jones in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
If that's what the option is that's the only option they have available to them, Nathan Jones, for example, I'm just saying him because I know he's been floating around, and he's still floating around now, 4-1. Like, if they've exhausted all their options where they're like unsure, really, they're not convinced on someone, and they're like, right, we're just going to give it to Nathan Jones because we think he'll do a job, then I'd rather just say to Sheehan, just have it until summer and we'll reassess.
Yeah, that is right. I'd rather them get it right. I'd rather them get the right man, because I think obviously we know when you get it wrong, you're in big trouble, especially if you get it wrong twice in one season. We've seen what happens there, but I don't know. It depends what position we're in as well, because if we, he did pick up 4 points, but then if we go and lose against Preston, and then we've got Southampton away after that, and then we've got Coventry away over Christmas in that run of games, when you come into January, we could be really looking over our shoulder, and we may just, I don't know, we may need someone to come in to stop the disaster happening. But that's worst case scenario, isn't it? I mean, fingers crossed it doesn't get to that. But
yeah, I mean, I'm still not overly concerned about relegation right now, because just from what I can see in front of me, like, we did pick up a decent points return in the away games under him when we had the change. And if you look at the form table, there's a few that did pick up a little bit. So Huddersfield, QPR and Sheffield Wednesday just had a brief spell where they picked up. Sheffield, perhaps you could argue, is still in there, but then they did play QPR, so they were playing each other.
Yeah.
QPR had their 3 wins and are now maybe, I don't know, they haven't won for 2 again. And Huddersfield, after their little spell, haven't won in 4. So it's still a big ask for them teams on the bottom. I think Rotherham are, I'm not sure they're going to get out to this. They've got 4 wins in the last 5 with just 1 draw, and they obviously still haven't had a manager for about a month. So whoever comes in there has got a mammoth task to turn that around. And but Stoke, I think, from what I saw with Stoke, they just look awful. And that's been, we talk about our situation coming for a long time coming to where we are now. They've kind of been the same but worse since they came down with us, where they spent a lot of money and it never worked, and they're still in this situation.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, the worrying thing for me, I don't want to be too negative, but I think that we are in a bit, well, we're not in a relegation fight at the moment, but I think with the fixtures that we got coming up, we could play well in those fixtures and just not get results, And I'm just looking at the table, and I think you're probably right. I think you've got Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and QPR in the bottom 3 at the moment. I think 2 out of those 3 will go. And then between the relegation zone and us, you've got Stoke, who are looking for a manager. And I think they drew this afternoon away to West Brom, didn't they?
Who now?
Stoke.
I forgot it was games on today. It's 3 o'clock in there, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, yeah. They drew away West Brom today, I think. So that, that's a decent result. And then after that, so if they bring in a tidy manager, Stoke, and they get a bit of a bounce, they'll probably push away from the relegation zone, and then the only thing between us and the relegation zone then is Millwall and Huddersfield. And they played each other yesterday and drew, and Huddersfield got a last-minute penalty, and it was like 98th minute penalty, and they drew with each other. I think that those teams probably have a bit more fight in us than us.
Do you think Millwall are on really bad form right now?
I know, but I think if it comes down to it, I think Millwall can pull themselves out of that.
Did we not beat them 3-0?
Yeah, but that's when we played them at the right time, didn't we? We were playing well at the time. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think we're built for a relegation fight. Now, a massive factor is having our injuries back. So I think when Wood comes back, and I don't know, I would say Joe Allen. But
what I will say about Millwall, right, just to counter your point, looking at their fixtures, so they've only had one win in the last 7 games, and that was against Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, 7 games ago, Sheffield were rubbish. And before that, they didn't win for 5 matches, and their win before that was against Plymouth, another team that came up. And then before that, their only win in the 5 matches prior to that was against Rotherham. So
yeah, so they're winning the 6-pointers. They're winning the big. What I'm saying is, they are in a real bad run of form at the moment. But what I'm saying is, if it got down to, I don't know, say we got down to 10 games left, and hopefully this doesn't happen. This is all hypothetical. But say we got down to 10 games left, and Millwall are in the relegation zone, and we're 1 place out, and they're a point between us. I fully expect Millwall to have a bit more fight in them. You'd back them to pick up the hard points on the road and nick someone at home than we would. That's what I'm saying.
I would be more confident in. I don't know. It's hard. I think we're both suffering the same problems looking at this. I was going to say I would be more confident in us if we are away from home getting a result, because our home form is what's costing us. We're 9th in the away table.
We're away from home. We're fine because we don't play in front of our fans. I think that's a massive factor. Genuinely, I think it is a huge factor. That's what I'm saying. If we got in a relegation fight where your home games need to be fortress, whereas everybody backs against the wall, it would just be booing and shouting because they made a pass backwards, or it would be a bad atmosphere. It wouldn't be, oh my god, we're fighting to stay up. It would be a bad atmosphere. Whereas I think places like Millwall are hard to go anyway. I think if they were in a relegation fight, they would probably rally a bit. I hope I'm wrong. I'd like to think we would fight, but
I got the home table here as well.
Go on.
Swans are 20th with 11 points. Millwall are last with 9.
Oh, there we go.
So I think they're in a. I think they're in a. They've only that's at home. They're struggling to score goals, and they're not really defending very well. They've scored 24 goals and has conceded 31. So we've scored 6 more goals, conceded the same. I know what you're saying. I understand it. I just don't know whether we'll be. I think they're in a bit of trouble. I think they had a decent start. They've been edging their way further down. I know we have too, but more so than us. They've also had a managerial change already, haven't they?
Yeah.
This season. Yeah, which hasn't worked, clearly. They've already changed the manager and they haven't won in 5.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I know that's what we're saying about new managers. I mean, they got to have a bit of time, haven't they? But
they did theirs 2 months ago.
They may start picking up form. So they're only 3 points from us, mind. I mean, that's only 1 game.
Well, yeah, no, I understand. I understand that. I'm not saying we're light and day above them. I don't know. If you look at their results as well, like the other 2 wins that they picked up this season were against Stoke and Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough being the first game of the season, and Middlesbrough had a really bad start, didn't they? So they've literally only beat teams below them.
Yeah.
Other than Middlesbrough and Stoke, which is in the same sort of category in the table. Whereas what I would say about us is we have, we got a few results against teams higher up the table, and I don't know, maybe I'm being biased, but I think we got a little bit more there. Obviously, I've been speaking to the Millwall fans as well when I spoke to them before our match earlier this season. They're not very they're quite worried as well, I think.
Yeah, fair
But
play.
we'll see. We'll see
I
which
think
one
I
of us
think
is
I
right.
think I think a lot of teams in that bracket. I think from, I guess you could say from us, Birmingham maybe, and Plymouth. I think from 16th down, I guess everybody would kind of feel they're in a bit of trouble unless they kick on from here.
Yeah.
So that's why again the managerial appointments are going to be really important for us and Stoke there in that mix.
It's crazy how much one win would change. Like if we had won yesterday, all of a sudden we're 8 points clear. You just feel a bit better, don't you?
Yeah, it is massive. Again, I think what I said tonight when we drew with Huddersfield in that game, didn't we? When Duff got sacked, I think without Patino's last minute equaliser, we were 21st in our last place above the relegation zone. And I think, like I said, even though the points were, we had a bit of a gap there, and we were only like on the same point as everybody above us. Just being in that position just makes you start twitching a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I'm,
it's a busy fixture period at this time of year, so in
This
2
is
weeks' time it
massive.
could all look different, couldn't it? You said Coventry away is one of our upcoming games, but they're only sitting 2 points ahead of us.
Yeah, I know. But they, I don't.
They picked up recently, though.
Yeah, they drew a Leeds yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah.
Away, I think. So that's a good result for them. Look, and again, we will pick up points over Christmas. I think at somewhere. It's just the nature of the championship, but I don't know. I'm trying to be positive, but I'm really worried at the moment. I think we're in a bad spot. I think if we get this wrong and we start still picking up bad results, I think we're not immune from being in a relegation fight.
Yeah, so let's have a look at Sheehan's 3 games anyway. So I guess if we had done this video before yesterday, I probably would have been more bleak than I'm being. I'm more in tune to what you're saying, but I think yesterday, for me, I saw enough to say, there's definitely still something there. There's definitely something that can be got out of this team and out of these players. I think the better team maybe lost the game yesterday. Maybe you could say a draw would have been more fair, but I don't know if Middlesbrough were the better team to get an away win, And we could talk about the goals because that's my biggest concern is our mistakes and our defending. Yeah. That's what the issue is.
This is why I'm worried.
Maybe clinicalness as well, but then part of that is Jamal Lowe really someone that you can expect to lead the line? We have, maybe that is our second biggest issue, I guess, this season, is bad defending and no striker that is just like a focal point that you can trust as a focal point in the attack, which can bring other players in and all of the stuff that goes with it. Yates, I know he's been doing it most of the season, but his goal return and assist return probably speaks volumes to what I'm saying here. And the goals for the team this season have literally come from the team. And that's a good trait to have, but also I think you find the top teams usually will have someone that is up in the charts away from the other players in the team, if that makes sense. Like someone who was a top goal scorer quite clearly for your club, and we haven't really got that at the moment. I don't know what you think about... Are you on mute? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. This is my... I was just careful I wasn't doing a Darth Vader impression again, but I think you're right. The same with you. This is why I'm worried about us being in a fight, is because we've kind of got the same traits that we've had now with defending for the last, say 2 seasons, 3 seasons, where defensively we are so poor, and it's just got worse this season. Going forward, this season's not really been an issue. Like we looked at it on one of the podcasts where even under Duff, in the first games under him, we've actually scored more goals, but conceded more. I think that kind of speaks volumes. Yesterday was a great example of why we're struggling, because we played so well, probably deserved to be ahead. A couple of chances missed, we looked so much better going forward. But then we've just always got that spell in us where we just concede these stupid goals. And it's coming. You can feel it coming in every game, no matter how well we play. Hull was another good example. Home, we played so well in that first half. We were 2-0 up, but you're just waiting for that spell where we just implode.
Yeah, but we did it against Rotherham as well. Nearly lost, well, not lost, but nearly drew the game.
exactly. I mean, if we hadn't won that game, that would have been a bit, there would have been uproar after that game. Instead of the Stoke game, we kind of shifted it because we managed to get the result. But yeah, you're right. I forgot about that because there was that spell where you thought Rotherham were going to nick it you when it went to 1-1. It's just we always seem to hit that spell and we can't get out of it. It's normally after half time. We always concede either before or after half time. That's when our prime time is for
There's
conceding
been
goals.
a few games where we've let leads slip, hasn't there?
But just like the goals we concede, like the Leeds game, right? Fair enough. We managed to go ahead against Leeds. It was great. Fair enough. And then like right on half time, I know Perot scored. We went to 1-1, and then right on half time is that one lump ball through the middle, and Humphreys is just watching it, and then they score. And then yesterday it was just like one ball in midfield, straight through the middle of the centre halves, goal. And then don't even get me started on that second goal that Middlesbrough scored yesterday. It's just an absolute joke of defending from goalkeeper to defenders to everything. It's a shambles. You wouldn't see that in Sunday League.
Even the goal we conceded against Stoke, I think, was look, it was a penalty, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
why is Harry Darling on the floor, like swinging his legs about?
One of them three, whether it's Darlin, Humphreys, or Cabango, has got an absolute howler in them every game, and usually combined they just look all over the place sometimes, and we concede. It's just really concerning me. Defense Cabango in that Stoke game, he should have been sent off. He was definitely trying to get Christmas off. He just went wild and just took someone out on halfway line where there wasn't even that like danger.
Yeah.
He just went in really high.
That's what I was going to caveat the draw against Stoke. Like, maybe we could say the penalty was a bit harsh. I was going to say about Darlin swinging his legs around. He kind of asked the question because of the way that he went down and tried to, like, regather the ball in a quite wild way. I don't necessarily know how much contact there was, but if the ref can't see properly and all he can see is swinging legs and then a player going down in the box, you kind of making him make a decision, and you whether you want to say it shouldn't have been a penalty. But we conceded the penalty, but we were lucky to not go down to 10 men in the first half. Like, stupid tackle by Cabango, I thought.
Yeah, and this is why I'm concerned, because I think just overall, even with Sheehan coming in and taking over, that's not changed. And a lot of it, look, we said is the players. A lot of them are just not doing it. There's so many players in that squad that are just not performing.
Speaking of the players, do you know, obviously the manager for the last couple of weeks, because Duff obviously haven't been managing, and it was one of the players being manager for the last couple of weeks, Grimes, yeah? Yeah, so it was his fault apparently that we were so poor up at Stoke.
I will say, like, I don't think Grimes has been playing that well either recently.
I don't think he's been playing that well, but I don't think it's also entirely all his fault in terms of
no, it's not
ball.
It's not all his fault.
Would you drop him though? Would you drop him?
No, of course you wouldn't drop him. I'm just saying, like, normally he's all through last season and even in a lot of games under Duff, he was consistently still at that level. But like over the last, like, I'd say the last like 2 or 3 games under Duff and now into Sheehan's couple of games, he's not been at that high level that he normally is.
But I think he's the sort of player that if you want to get the best out of him, there needs to be some sort of structure around him and what the team's doing. And what is that right now?
Yeah, I don't know.
So he can't play his game when there isn't a game.
I know what you mean.
But I was going to say he got the assist for the equalising goal against Stoke. Harry Darling scored a header from the corner, and that cross was immaculate. People criticise his delivery quite often. I just think it's fair to point out when
it was a good ball.
It's good. I was having a bit of a discussion on Facebook with someone who's criticising his lack of goal contributions as a midfielder, saying how over the years it's just been abysmal how much he doesn't score or assist. I just pointed out that last season he got 7 assists, which are a top amount of assists for a midfielder, and this season he's on 3, which is only second to Patino, but Patino apparently is God, so I'm not sure.
On this, while we're there, because this is one thing, has the Patino obsession ended yet?
No, it hasn't. It was so much criticism when he didn't start yesterday.
I don't understand it, because apparently that was Duff's downfall, that we're not playing our best player, who's Patino apparently, and he's just not doing it for me.
Yeah, so back to the Stoke game. so where I was going with this whole Grimes thing, everyone's having to go at Grimes. People were saying like, why is Grimes not been subbed off? Why has Patino been subbed off? But Patino had a shocking first half.
He was awful against Stoke. He hooked him at half time, didn't he? He was awful.
Yeah, this is what I mean. So like I said it all season, he is not fit enough, right?
No, he's not. He's not fit enough.
Whatever the reason is, right? And every time I've said this, the response back to me has been, "What do you mean he's not fit enough? He comes from a Premier League club. He should be fit enough." Okay, that's fine if you think he should be, but he isn't. Doesn't matter what you think he should be. He can't do it. He's not fit enough. Some people, look, I don't know what this mentality is around, like, they're professional players. They should be able to do this. They earn enough money. They should be able to do this, right? Unfortunately, your profession and your paycheck doesn't directly correlate to your physical attributes. Some people are just a little bit less fit than others, or like, yeah, you can probably train into it, but he's still a kid. He's still, what, 19? So the reason that he's come on loan from Arsenal to a championship club for the second season in a row is to continue to develop. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. So he isn't fit enough. That's something he needs to work on in his game. And we were playing against Stoke midweek after he started on the weekend. And lo and behold, he put in a worse performance because he was tired. And that's why he got subbed at half time. So that when I used to stick up for Duff and say the reason that Patino hasn't started every single game is because there's always when there's 3 games in a week. And he would always not start one of them, like after he started the previous one, and then he'd come back into the team. And this is literally the reason. Now, when they sub him at half time, you do realise like they have this data, they've got these packs on their back that will say to the management and the coaches how well they're physically doing, and they know when the players are struggling. You might not necessarily see it on the pitch because they're still doing certain things on the pitch, but they can see when like they're half a yard off a run, or they're half a yard off something that normally they would be getting to, and it's all there in the data and these packs they wear in their back, and that's where they get the information from to know when they need to make these decisions. So like they get ahead of it, innit? You don't want someone really struggling on the pitch because they've already run out of steam, and then as a result of that we concede a goal. You want to get ahead of that so that it doesn't impact the result. But yeah, I just get a bit confused by the constant
Yeah, spot on. I get, we've talked about it. He's not a bad player. Of course, he's not a bad player. We've seen touches of brilliance from him, but the only reason I push back on it is because you just keep seeing it like rammed down your throat, like, oh my God, he should be starting every game, and he's our best player. And then you're like, oh, well, hang on. Like, I think he's good, but what I've seen of him, I'm not like he has to start. And it speaks volumes when 2 managers have like, put him on the bench. I've done the same thing. It's just, there's got to be something in it. Duff didn't play him every game, and then fair enough. Okay, people think he got it wrong, fine. But then Sheehan's come in now, and even though he scored the equaliser against Huddersfield and scored like off his back against Rotherham,
he came off the bench against Huddersfield, so he's going to be fitter than the people out there because he hasn't played for the entire match. You're going to get the best out of him.
Yeah, I know, but I think like I'm saying, it just speaks volumes that like 2 managers have not started him consistently. I think that says a lot.
I agree. I think
it's a good option to have. It's a good option to have.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a good player, but people just need to calm down the obsession because I don't see it.
I personally think he's been one of our better players this season. He has been. But when he's not on it, he's not on it. And he's not immune to that. And from what I've seen, that is just down to fitness. And it's the same reason that he gets subbed every game, like 60 minutes. Because I think he just starts flagging, and you can just tell the first half he's had a really good first half. The second half starts, and the more it goes on, he just disappears. You just don't see him doing anything, and that's been a consistent thing all season. And it's fine. Like I said, he's a kid and he's learning, he's developing. I'm sure he's working on those things, but like you've got to respect that. And if he needs to come off, he needs to come off. And if he's not ready to start the next game, he's not ready to start. You've got other players. You've got a squad to be able to then rotate. And I don't think you should be slandering everyone that comes in for this player that you think is just the best player there is ever. I think he's been one of our best players this season. I'm not here to criticise Charlie Patino. But
no, I agree.
This whole agenda of like he has to start and play 90 minutes week in, week out, you're going to ruin the boy before he's even started his career if that is the case, because he is not going to be able to do it. And the more you force it out of him, the worse he will play because his legs will be gone.
Yeah, I don't know what his record was like for Blackpool last season. I don't know if he started. But that'd be interesting to see.
No, I think it was quite similar.
Ah, well, there we go. That'd be interesting to look at that, because that's I totally agree with you. I don't think he's a bad player at all. I just think they've got to manage him. If we can manage him right and we get the best out of him, and they play him for 60 minutes, and then when Joe Allen's fit, like he comes on and finishes the game off, or they rotate with like Walsh and Fulton or whatever, then that's what we've got to do. But then I agree with you. Stop ramming it down my throat that you've got it wrong because Patino doesn't start. Instantly, the team sheet comes out and he's on the bench. Oh my God, he's on the bench. It's horrendous. Oh my God, he's awful. Like,
yeah. Oh, I can't believe Grimes and Felton are starting together again. It doesn't work. I just want to put that to bed as well, right? Because it worked for Potter, it worked for Cooper, and it worked for Martin. So why does it not work all of a sudden? They've played with each other for like 6 years.
Yeah, it's like when we're saying, like with Patino, like two managers have done the same thing. If those like 3-4 managers have all done the same thing, and Grimes and Fulton largely play together, it works.
They literally played together for the 2 seasons we got into the playoffs. They were the midfielders, the 2 midfielders, for the majority of that. Okay, you might have had a Corey Smith coming in, or you might have had a Horahan coming in at certain points, but Cooper generally played 3 in midfield anyway. And no one had this agenda then where Grimes and Felton just can't play together. But now all of a sudden, Grimes and Felton can't play together. It just doesn't work. They just can't play. They're too defensive. They literally have done it for years under several managers. There's nothing wrong with them playing together. Maybe the style of play is causing issues, but I don't know why. This is why I was coming back to Grimes in general. Like, it's the issues that we're not getting the best out of him is because the style right now, like it's difficult to see what that is, and I think he's struggling to perform at his best because sometimes he's looking forward, there's no one to pass to, and then his criticism for passing backwards, and then what is the answer? But I don't think we're getting the best out of him, but he's having an okay season. I think Felton has done fine this season. I think Patino has been really good, but you can't play 90 minutes every game, and there's not really anything else to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, again, while we're on the midfielder, Walsh played well yesterday, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
He had a good game yesterday.
So that's what I was going to transition into with the whole Patino thing as well. Obviously, there was riots with the team selection yesterday when it was announced. I saw comments saying like he's basically decided because of where Middlesbrough are in the league, we're just going to lose this one before we've even kicked off. Obviously, he's changed the formation. Liam Walsh and Jamie Patterson played together quite a lot before they came to Swansea. So they have a bit of a relationship there. Liam Walsh was actually speaking about this in an interview recently, saying he wants to strike that partnership back up, and he knows him and Patterson can play really well off each other, and he hopes that they get the opportunities to do that. And I think we saw the best of that yesterday against Middlesbrough, and I think Liam Walsh played one of, if not his best game in a Swans shirt. And it's nice to see after the game, everyone is singing his praises a little bit because he did pull the strings and had a really good game.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that enough because of his injuries, but that shows that there's other options there, and he's been sitting on and around the bench for quite some time now. Maybe not being rushed back from his injury because we don't want him out again, and it's been, touch wood, a long time since his last one. But he's definitely got something to offer. I think he had a really good game yesterday.
But I think like this has always been the thing with him. Like last season, he came in and he played really well, and he was like towards the end of the season, he was in that good run we had. He was brilliant, and then he kind of disappears. And I think this is just happening every season where, again, he can't play. You know, you probably can't. You can't risk playing him in Tuesday, Saturday, and then the full fixture list over Christmas is because he will pick up an injury, and it is a bit of a problem, and it is unlucky. But yeah, like in all fairness to him, when he is fit and you can get a tune out of him, he's a very good player. Like he's had some good performances for us. It's just frustrating that he's kind of not fit either. If you want to put him in that bracket.
Yeah, I think yesterday I was really impressed with his delivery from set pieces.
Yeah, he's got a lovely touch. I mean, and he was unlucky not to score as well. He had one that just went past the post, and he's like arrived late.
He missed a sitter. I think he probably should do better, to be fair.
He should hit the target.
He needs to at least put it on target, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to hit the target there. But he created a lot. Like, he seemed to be at the heart of... I think he moves the ball a bit quicker. Like, I think... What I get with people with, like, Fulton and Grimes is maybe they're not that type of player. They want, like, a like a 10 sort of role where someone gets the ball quick and they move it on. But then they're not those players. They sit deep and they do what they do. But Walsh yesterday kind of picked up that role. Like that trio could work because Walsh kind of does what they don't do and they do what he doesn't do, and it does work. And like that first half, we played really well. We looked good going forward, and Walsh was brilliant.
So it looked like he played a 3-4-2-1 with Walsh and Patterson behind Lowe up front, sort of.
Yeah.
But you are right. People have been. I mentioned again. This is why I mentioned it. But the whole Grimes-Felton dynamic in the middle maybe hasn't worked because there hasn't been something else to allow it to work. So having someone like Walsh there maybe allows them to work as a midfield too. And that might have been something that we are missing, a little bit of a spark there. I think we're still missing a bit of pace. But someone like that complements those two because it allows them to do what they are doing. And neither Grimes nor Felton is incapable of getting forward and adding to an attack. I just don't think they should be the instigator or the one that's trying to get that going and move it along. Whereas I think Walsh is capable of doing that. And others, maybe Ollie Cooper if he was performing. Well, that's what we thought he was going to offer, but maybe fallen off a bit.
Yeah, I think. He's been disappointing, but he's not the only one, is he? There's been
no,
and this is why we're in this position. I think while we're talking about some players, I just think there's been so many bad performances this year. There's been some good ones. There's been, I think, possibly only Josh Key. I'm struggling to think of anyone else who's really stood out as performing really well week in and week out. Apart from that, I think everybody else has
Rushworth as well, maybe.
Rushworth, well, yeah, minus yesterday.
He did have a few earlier in the season as well. But to defend him again, and I defended Fisher a lot when he was making clangers, and I want to be fair. He's a young goalkeeper, and he's only here to learn. He wouldn't be here otherwise.
Look, people slated him yesterday saying he cost us the game, but I mean, he saved us. He's probably saved us about 4 or 5 points this year, at least in some games where he's pulled off some massive saves, or he's had a game where he's pulled off about 10 saves. Millwall being one of them. I remember we won that game, but he made so many saves in that game.
Sunderland.
He made so many saves. So I think without him, we probably would be, we'll have dropped a few more points.
It's like when we had Woodman in there, he was a young keeper year on loan to learn. Made a couple of errors sometimes. But that's what you have when you have a young keeper. That's why they come here, to make these mistakes. So when they finish this part of their career, they go back a better keeper. That's the whole point.
I don't think, when we talk about Rushworth, I don't think that's particularly a weakness with us at the moment at goalkeeper. I think there's way bigger fish to fry.
Maybe it was a slight lapse in concentration. Probably.
Yesterday.
Is
but I think even with the the back pass happened. I think while we're on it, the back pass happened. It's happened a couple of times this season. I think Darlin or someone's come in and tackled, and he's sort of risked it and picked it up. And I think he's kind of done the same thing, thinking the ref's not going to pick that one up. But even after that, should never concede from that free kick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even though he makes that mistake and they've got that free kick, you should never ever concede from there. Baffling.
Whose fault is it?
Oh, I have no, well, I think, we're just singing his praises, but between Key, Darlin and Cabango, I don't know what's happened. They've got something wrong, because when you notice the ball at the back of the net, they all turn around and look at each other as if to say, what were you doing? What were you doing? What were you doing? It's kind of like the Spider-Man meme, isn't it? When they're all just pointing at each other. So that just says, they got something wrong. They did miscommunication.
If you've got an indirect free kick from that sort of position, why is anyone leaving the inside post? Why is the person running at the free kick the guy on the inside post?
Exactly. That I don't know who's communicated that. I have no idea, because you leave someone on the post. You have designated people that will run out to put the pressure on, to put the block on. But surely you keep the people on the post. You keep some people on the line, then you're in the right position. But it wasn't even the person who was on the post. Darlin was on the post and runs out. Key was the next man in, runs out. And Cabango stays on the line. So they leave a 2-man gap on that inside post. Yeah, that was so poor.
Yeah.
I think it's still a little bit unlucky it goes under Darlin. But that's why you should have the people on the line, just in case that does happen.
Yeah, but you're never going to, from the position that they were shooting from, it was always going to stay low. because they couldn't do. I doubt they get the height to go above.
Exactly. You rarely see those indirect free kicks getting scored anyway. For them to be scoring from that close to the goal as well, I don't know. Cost us a point yesterday.
Yeah, it's a shame because it was I think a good performance otherwise, and I wasn't expecting to get anything out of the game beforehand. Jamal Lowe scoring our goal with a header. Perhaps we had enough chances to get another one. This is where I was saying about the striker thing. I know we've scored a lot of goals this season, but we're not really clinical, I don't think. As much as we have scored a few, we're not clinical.
No, we're not. We're not. Yeah, but this is the issue we'll get to as well. I think this year, especially when we look at where it's going wrong, I think, okay, have looked okay going forward sometimes like yesterday, but the players that we've got up front are just not, they're not good enough. I know Lowe scored, he did quite well yesterday to get Lowe down to that header and score, but
he did well to get Lowe down to the head.
Yeah, I meant that. I'd like to say I meant that, but he did well on that goal in all fairness. But then you look at, I don't know, Yates. That's just not worked out for me at all. Still, and then he did that celebration at Rotherham as if to say like, oh, I score goals, and then he disappeared for the next two games. And he was awful against Stoke.
Yeah, he touched the ball twice yesterday in 9 minutes,
and it just not worked. But the issue is, I guess this is a wider issue. I don't know if we come on to this now, but I think this season has kind of been coming for a long time. I know it's easy now for everybody, and I'm the same, to get really annoyed at the current situation, like the manager, Watson, all that. It's easy to just throw at all of that, but this has been coming for a long, long time. It's been coming for years. I think every transfer window we've come on here, and I've said it, we get weaker every transfer window. And I think the window in the summer, in hindsight now, I think that was kind of the final nail where we've kind of dropped into this position now that we're in the lower half of the table, because every year we seem to have top performers. We seem to find them, like Flynn Downs came in and Perrault come in and Manning played well last year. And then the fact that we got rid of 3 of our top 4 goal scorers last year, I think was just the final push. Like we lost Perrault, we lost Ncham and Manning, and combined I think they scored 32 goals, which was half of our goals from last year.
Goals plus assists contribution for Joel Perrault last year was 21, and it was 15 for Manning.
Well, there we go. You take those 2 out of that side.
Plus Ncham was 11, and he was in 3rd place.
Yeah, look, you take those 3 out of that side, there's no goals coming in that team. They've replaced that with Yates.
And creativity, because it's goals plus assists.
Exactly. But we've replaced that with Yates, he's a different player to Perrault. I think maybe it's unfair to compare them, but if you want to look at why we're struggling, that's it. We're really at a point where I think the cupboard is bare. I think the squad is decent, but there's always been that underbelly in the squad that's not quite good enough. When we have a few injuries, or somebody doesn't play well, then it looks quite bad. And I think that's where we are now. Consistently, we've had a few injuries this year. We've lost Perrault. We haven't replaced the good players that we've lost in this window, and I think we're in a really bad situation.
I think the Perrault thing, maybe we didn't realise it till he was gone, but if he's still here and scoring at the same rate he did over the last 2 seasons, maybe it'd be fair to say we would have had maybe we would have won 2 games that we drew, for example.
Yeah.
Which would give us 4 points, which puts us on 29. And I don't know, it just looks a bit more healthy, doesn't it?
I think you're right.
And that's just a minimum. I think it's a minimum 4. It could be more. Maybe you win 2 games that you lose, and then that's 31 points, and then all of a sudden that could be 9th place.
No, I think you're spot on, and this is what I try and say when we're talking about it, is that when you look at it last season and people are like, people still point to me like, oh, Russell Martin this, Russell Martin that. He had Perrault, Manning, and then Cham. Like you said, that had all them goals and assists. You take those 3 out of that squad, and I think it would have been the same last year. We would have had the struggles that we're having now. But yeah, I think we're in a bit of a bad situation. This is why I'm worried, because I don't think the squad is there. There's a few I think Grimes is good, and Fulton and Key maybe, but apart from that, I'm not seeing much in that squad.
No one else you wouldn't say it's good enough?
Not at the moment. I'm not seeing anyone play well enough.
The one
at the
that I would
moment.
say has had a lot of praise this year is Patterson, which
Yeah, Patterson. Right. Yeah.
no, I think it's fair that he's had praise, but there's a big but here because he has played well. But I think if we sign a number 10, he doesn't start. Like a proper number 10.
Yeah, but he was out the door when.
That's what I mean. But I think he's done well for. I think he's done okay because there's no one else really doing anything creatively up front, or at least until Balassi came and, well, like yesterday with Walsh, maybe he offered something, but otherwise there's not been that much, not much spark at all. And if you compare Patterson now compared to Patterson in his first season, he's still below quite a lot where he was then. And he is a bit older now as well. But I just think what I'm trying to say is, if we had signed an out-and-out creative number 10, Patterson doesn't even get in a team.
No.
He's done well for what we have here to offer, and he's done well as a result. But I don't think he's like a shining light. He's not like a standout player. He's not going to get into any other championship teams and walk in because he's playing that well. He's like Swansea's main man or anything like that. He's just had a couple of moments where he's done a good job. He's not been anything special.
No, I agree. I think he's had some good games, and he's been quiet than others. But I think it's the same across the board with that attack. I think if you look at Lowe, Patterson, Yates, Cullen.
Yeah, I said about Lowe though, didn't I, in a recent episode where I think he needs to do more. And yeah, he scored yesterday, but you didn't sign Jamal Lowe to score headers.
Is there anyone else I'm missing? I'm thinking
Cullen.
Yeah, Cullen, and then there's no one there.
Gianelli was the one, wasn't he? But he's just
Gianelli was the one this year. That was unlucky because I think he was starting to come into. I think he would have been a massive difference if he stayed fit. I think that would have been big. Oh, and Balassi as well. We missed, but
yeah, it's harsh to talk about Balassi because he's an emergency signing.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's unfair, but this is what I'm saying. I just don't think the.
But again, he's not fit. It's kind of a more extreme version of the whole Patino argument I was making earlier, where there was criticism for Balassi not starting the game yesterday. But he's got like 30 minutes of himself in a game.
Didn't do anything much against Stoke when he came on either.
But that's what I mean. I think he came on the first appearance he made at home, where he was kind of electric for like half an hour.
Yeah,
but. Maybe now he's had a couple of games, his legs are gone a bit, and you're not seeing that same energy, what he's shown on that first game. He made a big chance yesterday, but he only was on the pitch for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is fine if that's what he offers off the bench to come on when the rest of the opposition's tired. But he can't be someone we rely on from the off every week, every of his 2-3 games a week to go and do that because he's not going to be able to at his age. He hasn't got it. And Duff said when he signed, he hasn't got that anymore, so don't expect it. To be fair, he did say that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
He's kind of, I feel like, there to, like yesterday, we need to find a goal now, last 10 minutes. We're going to chuck Balassi on. Maybe now we haven't got we haven't got a game till Friday. Maybe he'll find himself starting, but he'll be off the pitch by 50, 60 minutes.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. He will.
And I think he would be hooked to half time. I think the only thing that saves him doing that is the fact that he has 15 minutes to recover a bit of energy to go another 10 minutes, and then he's gone.
Yeah, and that's where we are, and that's the option we've got at the moment.
Yeah, and that's not to criticise him as a player, but like we signed a 34-year-old winger, so
yeah, and this is why it's worrying.
It's a reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. On the whole, though, more positive yesterday. If Sheehan has to take over against Preston, which looks very likely, hopefully if he can put the same sort of output on the pitch on Friday. I'm not actually that concerned with the formation change either after seeing it. Duff obviously tried this earlier in the season, couldn't get a tune out of it, and something seemed to work a bit better yesterday for whatever reason. Also, Nathan Wood got back onto the bench, and I think he came on for brief period at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Trying to find out the exact minute. Oh no, Nathan Wood didn't come on yesterday. My mistake. I thought he did. but I would expect to see him perhaps get introduced to get some minutes in the next few fixtures, because we talked about the defensive issues. Maybe would you say a fully fit Nathan Wood comes back in?
Yeah, probably. With the way those three defenders have been playing, I don't think any of them can say they're keeping him out at the moment. I mean, like Wood, again, he wasn't perfect when he was playing. We had, he's probably got a few mistakes in him as well, but
Still would have taken the money.
yeah, absolutely. Look at that in hindsight. Now, I definitely would have taken the money and got rid of him. But I think maybe I don't know. I think we would as well. Sometimes he's good playing out of the back, and I think it's another option to have. But because we need something at the back there, I think they need a bit of a wake up call. All three of them, Humphreys, Darling, and Cabango.
Yeah, and what's happened to Pedersen? He's just injured all the time.
I even forgot about him, because I think he played like 2 or 3 games, it seems like, and then he was gone.
He looked okay for what he offered. Just shame again. And another one. A few signings from the summer actually injury records are poor, and then we had the Walshes and the Allens already here. Alan shouldn't be too far away by all accounts, but how much we'll see of him, who knows. Yeah, I guess. Well, Preston, they're on bad form, so I think a home win. We need to start winning games at home. I think we need to win this game.
Oh yeah, I do. I think it's a massive game we've got to win, especially then with 2 big away games coming up after that.
Yeah,
I think we
3 points could be massive for us as well. It could, depending on other results, take us up to 15th.
Yeah, I think.
And all of a sudden, it just feels better if you do end the week there. Go into Christmas 15th. There's a lot of a gap between, in terms of teams, in between the relegation zone and yourself.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think you're right about Friday. I think we desperately need to win. Home games are going to be massive for us. We need to start picking up points at home.
So Preston have 4 points in the last 5 games.
They got hammered yesterday, though, didn't they? At home against Watford. Was it 6-1 in the end or 5-1?
Yeah, but when you look at the information, like the XG, for example, which I know isn't the be-all and end-all, but there's like XG tables and you can have a look at. And a few teams overachieving, 2 that stand out. Cardiff, who have started to drop off, were overachieving in their position in the league based on the XG for and against. Basically what it was showing is they were being quite clinical, but then quite good defensively, so winning games with narrow margins, but not actually creating much. Now they're not necessarily scoring them chances, they were being clinical, and they might be conceding 1 or 2 more than they were before. Their results have fallen off a cliff. For example, losing against Birmingham, and Hull City beat them 3-0 yesterday. So they've started dropping. The other team was Preston for basically the same reasons.
Yeah.
They haven't quite had the same fall off yet, but they're not far behind. They are still only like 2 points ahead of where Cardiff are, but there's 4 positions to separate them. So Preston in 8th, Cardiff in 12th. We're in 18th. Our XG position in that table, just if you're interested, we were underperforming very marginally. I think it moved us up 2 positions, but that's it. It wasn't really anything for us. We were kind of where we needed to be, or where we should be. But it was quite interesting to see some teams where they should or shouldn't be. And Middlesbrough were actually the ones that should have been higher than the table suggests. And that is largely due to their start of the season, where they had a really bad time. And they lost, 6 or 7 games or something at the start of the season.
Yeah,
I think.
they started poorly, didn't they?
So their shows they should be higher. But Preston is definitely the team that looks like they're overachieving in terms of league position. So I know it's like hard to say it's a must-win game against a team who are currently sitting in 8th position, but they've scored 28 goals and they've conceded 38. Their goal difference is -10 in 8th position, and this is where it all factors into what I'm saying. Our goal difference is -1 in 18th, and we've scored more goals than them and conceded less. So get your head around that, isn't it? Like the team in 8th have scored less goals than us and conceded significantly more goals than us, but find themselves 10 positions higher.
Yeah, but that sums up the championship, doesn't it? I mean, even though
Yeah.
I've said I'm a bit worried about us, this is why it's important. If we could have got someone in, we're not actually in a bad position at the moment. I think we kind of feel that we could be if it carries on the way it is. But if you pick up 2 wins in this league, and it's massive. You move like quite far in the table, don't you? I think we're only 5 points off Cardiff now, who are supposedly so much better than us this season.
Well, they had the new manager bounce, let's be honest, and now Ramsey has decided he doesn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, it's mad to
Reality's
think
setting in, isn't it?
if you think the narrative is that Cardiff have had a really good season and they're playoff contenders, and we're having this horrendous season and we're relegation candidates, so we're only 5 points off them. Then it's that's the championship for you. The only thing is just the evidence you see on the pitch doesn't fill me with confidence that we can plug that gap, but we'll see.
I think we can catch Cardiff. There's no chance either of us get playoffs.
No, you don't think Cardiff will get playoffs?
They've lost 4 of their last 5, and they just lost to Birmingham.
Yeah, fair.
Birmingham, have you seen that goal?
Yeah, Bakuna scored, didn't he?
Yeah, it's such a tragic goal. If we're talking about our defending being bad,
yeah, it was bad.
It's like Wayne Rooney's only second win, wasn't it, as Birmingham boss?
Yeah.
So
That's the thing. I was thinking of Birmingham. We can't get Eustace now. I mean, that was apparently the board wanted him a couple of times, and then he said no because they wanted him before Martin, didn't they? And
yeah,
didn't get him. And
he just don't want to come to South Wales, by the sounds of it. I think he wants to stay near where he's based, unless the right job comes up. And I guess we're just not the right job.
We're not going to be the right job for a lot of managers, unfortunately.
No. It's them up-and-coming ones that want to make a career. That's why I guess the Chris Davis news is so hurtful, maybe.
Yeah.
Because usually that's the sort of manager that will take a punt on us.
Yeah. I don't know who's going to take it.
No. Anyway, let's have a look at the other thing we were going to talk about today, which was season ticket, if I can get the right tab up. I know you've got a bit you want to say about this, and let's get it up. So, early bird season tickets gone on sale, I believe, this week, just before Christmas. Could be a nice Christmas present for someone who likes to watch the Swans these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the prices have increased from last season. So you know more about this than me. So I don't know if you want to lead the way.
Yeah. So they do this every season where they release the prices before Christmas, and normally it's kind of like you got till March to renew it, and then it gets more expensive the later you renew it. So the early birds come out now, and it's 411 for your adult. And just looking at the normal one, I know the South Stand tends to be cheaper, but you've got your general admission one, which is 411, and last year the same time the early bird price was 370. So it's a tidy increase. So what's that, like 11%? I think we said it was. It's a tidy increase for a season ticket. And then if you don't do it early bird, I think you've got until like the middle of February, I think, to actually renew your seat. Then I think it jumps up to like 460, whereas last year it was 400, so 60 quid extra. That's like 15%. Yeah.
Somewhere there's a lot of text and figures. I know they're talking about here that it's still cheaper than before COVID, and it's cheaper than when we went up to the Premier League. The season we got promoted is what they're saying here.
The problem
is
the
cash back as well.
Yeah, the problem is I think you expect it to kind of increase every year, but I think like 15% increase is quite a lot, considering. I think it's bad timing as well, considering everything that's going on. Releasing renew your season ticket 15% extra when we haven't even got a manager at the moment. I think it's just really, I don't know. It's just bad timing. It is bad timing at the moment.
Yeah, it is bad timing. I'm not sticking up for the club, but just to caveat it, I think obviously they would have decided these things before any of that happened. And when you compare across the league, we are still on average. I believe we were looking at it for last season. We can't confirm for this season yet. we were in like the bottom 6 or 7 teams for average season ticket cost. Doesn't make it acceptable still. I'm just putting them out there as information.
Yeah, I know. I think that's fair that we are in that window with season ticket pricing. It's just that's what people are used to. It's just the percentage increase in it. If you increase it by 15% or an 11% in the early bird window, I think it's just a lot. It's a lot.
It would have been a really nice gesture from the club, especially with the cost of living at the moment, if they could have at least froze the prices. I think that would have gone a long way.
Yeah.
And said, like, look, I know we're not going through the best time on the pitch. We are looking at trying to make it better. We hear you and all this stuff, and try and build a connection with the fans again. And that would have been something that maybe could have helped.
I think you're right. I just think it was a bit of a poor decision as well, because I think, like, I will renew my season ticket. I'm not going to stand here and pretend like a lot of people say, like, oh, it's the first time I've contemplated not renewing my season ticket, and then they do it anyway. Because at the end of the day, they've got you, haven't they? They put a price on your loyalty, and you do it. You kind of do it without thinking about it. But I think if they could have froze the prices, I think it would have been really good. I just think trying to increase it where crowds are already falling away, how much more extra can they stand to gain from an extra 60 quid per person when they sell about 11,000 season tickets, if that.
Yeah, they need to sort out a way to try and improve attendances as well. I don't know if increasing prices is the way.
It is it's about an extra 600k, isn't it? But
yeah, but then they're losing people. So what's
exactly
out
the thing is, it's not the first time I've been a bit annoyed with the with the season ticket thing, because I think we talked about it before, but I go with my dad, who has a senior ticket now. I think if you're 65 or over, you get a senior ticket, and we used to go with his friend as well, who was like 63 at the time, I think. And what they did was they said, if you already, no, sorry, they did it. It was over 60. It was, so at the start it was over 60. So if you were over 60, you could have a senior ticket. And then what they did was, randomly one season they said, oh, actually now it's 65. So where they hit people who were like 63, 64, or if they were like just about to turn 60, then they missed out on that. They were obviously banking on renewing their season ticket when they turn 60.
So what did they say? Unless if you're already on senior and you renew, you keep it, but otherwise,
yeah, if you were already on senior. So my father's friend, who was like, I think he was 59 at the time, the following season had supported the club all those years, renewed his season ticket every year. At 59, was due to get a cheaper ticket at 60. That season, they then said, no, we're moving it to 65. So, you've got another 5 years of paying full price. And I just think that was a poor decision as well. So it is just not the first time kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
With the season ticket. And that I think that was wrong, because fair enough if you increase your adult season ticket prices, but moving it to 65, where people were waiting at that age, your later end of 50, who've probably supported the club for 50 years, to then say, oh, you've got to wait another 5 years to get it. I think that was a cheap win. And I know they say, like, a lot of clubs do it at 65, in all fairness, but I think that was a really cheap win.
Yeah. What I will say is there's some brackets for different ages here, under 12s, under 18. They seem okay to me. I don't know what you think about them.
Yeah, well, that's a really good price, I think.
To take I don't know if there's any family options, but to take your kids and stuff now. Maybe I've never really looked in as much detail before, and I've never bought them categories. People will be able to tell me more in the comments, but they look reasonable. But I was interested in this under 21. Is that new?
I don't know.
Same as the student price, but
yeah, I guess it's kind of unfair if you have a student, and then if you don't like study, then you can't get the cheaper price. So.
Yeah, but you could be a student at 30 years old.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could. Yeah.
They just need the student ID, don't they, to approve that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the idea of this, of student discounts is like you're in some sort of education, so you're not earning as much, and then that's where you get the discount, isn't it? That's the whole point of that.
Yeah.
Under 21, I guess if you're a 21-year-old and then you've got a 22-year-old sitting next to you, you're wondering why you're paying £200 more.
Yeah.
I get it for under 18 because that's when you kind of turn to an adult. But look, it's nice that they got a discount for that age bracket. I'm just going to what you were saying about the senior one there. If you're 22 years old and your friend's 21, that's just frustrating, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah. Isn't 21 the bracket for like the increase in minimum wage? Is that the thinking behind it? I don't know.
Is it 21? Is that
I
what
think
the
it might be
living
21.
wage?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not sure. I can't
A
remember.
lot of businesses these days that don't have age bracket wages today. I know some still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is then. Could be. Or like ages, they earn less money. Perhaps it's at the start of their career, so could be stuff like that. It's not bad, anyways. You're trying to get more younger fans in, I guess, and develop the next group of supporters that you want to get them in and then
Yeah. Look,
keep them here.
looking at that face value, the prices are not bad. Like I think they're reasonable. The prices, but knowing that a lot of people that I know pay less for their season ticket. I used to argue that we pay for better football, but I don't think it's the case at the moment.
Who pays less? That you know, is it because Cardiff's prices are less?
Yeah, they always about under 300 quid. Cardiff, I think they were about 300 quid last year, according to some people that I work with. But
Well, I did have a check, didn't I? What they were.
I
So
think
Cardiff,
like a face value. But still, though, I think a face value those prices aren't bad. I just hate the cheap wins. Like, I will increase it by 10% now.
yeah.
When the crowds are falling away anyway. I'm with you. I think this would have been the time to freeze them this year.
Yeah.
With everything going on, but there we go.
Cardiff's average price last season was 327.
Yeah.
Well, our average price last season was 372. So there's like 50 quid difference there.
Yeah.
Cardiff, one of the lowest for average price in the league, to be fair, which I'm a bit surprised at, but
yeah,
fair enough. There's also a significant on the other end. So like, well, we could be far worse, and I'm not saying we shouldn't necessarily be happy with the prices, but like Norwich on the top end, 365 on average. No, sorry, 635.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is.
Yeah, and you've got like Sheffield Wednesday, who only came up from League One, 623.
Yeah, that's horrendous. That's horrific. That is.
So it's not even like they just got relegated from Premier League. The top club in that category, Leeds, 420.
That's not bad, to be fair.
Oh, sorry, Leicester on average was 590.
That's a lot as well. Bloody hell, if you're in there.
Southampton 571.
I think anything above 500 quid for a championship club is horrendous. I think, well, even now above 500 quid for a premiership club is ridiculous.
It's extortionate, isn't it? And yeah, it's a struggle, I would imagine. And we talk about the attendance lowering. It's going to be part of the reason is because people can't afford it anymore. And surely that's where you want to help them out. It's the time, with everything that's going on outside of football, if your football club is the centre of your community, which it is for a lot of people, that's where you just want them to be doing that a little bit more and not acting like a business. And I know it is a business at the end of the day, but when stuff like this comes out, that's where you just get a reminder that it is, these days, football is just a business for the owners, and it's not like what it used to be and what you would like it to be. You know, if you're going to go to every game at home in a year, you are still saving money. It's like £17.87 on average for the adults if you get a season ticket. I think it's £30 to £35 a pop if you go and pay individually each game, depending on what category it is.
Yeah,
with this new category system they introduced. So you are still saving a lot of money, but that's only if you're going to go, I guess, to every single game and you know you're going to go to every game.
Yeah.
And obviously it is cheaper if you go to the South Stand as well. Which is,
the adult
there
one
is
there.
that option.
the adult one there, and it's got the star next to it. Is that because if you, I don't know, I think if you
So the
get
family
children-
stand, so you've got to go with the kids.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what the
So
asterisk is next to it.
you can only get a ticket there if, as it says here, full prices are chargeable
Yeah,
unless purchased alongside children under 12. So
Yeah.
you can only get that price in the south stand if you also purchase this.
That. Yeah.
Does
Which would
that
then
add
make
up?
it the same. Yeah,
Well, not quite the same, but basically the same.
that's exactly the same, isn't it? What is it? 355, and then the extra 65. About 420, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit
It's
more,
just-
but yeah,
yeah,
but that's two of
but
you
you-
going, so
There's 2 tickets in it, yeah.
it's decent. Yeah, like I said, I don't think the pricing, like looking at that and looking at other championship clubs, the price is not that bad. I think it's just when you try and increase in them.
Your pricing's representative to what you've had, though, isn't it? It's all well and good looking at the rest
Exactly.
of the league.
Exactly.
But if they decided to match the rest of the league's top end in one season, that's a massive jump. So it would be an issue.
Oh, can you imagine they upped it to like 600 quid and then said, oh, well, like Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday are 600 quid. I think like you'd lose
Well,
half a season ticket holders.
Yeah, and you could tell that they know people won't be happy with it, because when you read all the stuff underneath, it's like, yeah, well, the prices are still remaining lower than
Yeah.
before COVID, and it's cheaper than when we got promoted last time. It's like they're justifying it when it's like you're just announcing it. You already know people are not going to be happy because you're justifying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It says they've
And then they're trying to say like about all that,
trust.
like, and then they're trying to caveat, and they're like, here's are the prices, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
With all this blurb about like all this stuff, and then they try and say about COVID. I was like, don't even get me that, because they were just like, oh, can you like leave all your money in the club, even though you can't come to games.
Well, this is interesting though. I didn't realize this. I think that we should mention this actually. So, your season tickets next season will also include any Swansea City women and Swansea City under 21s and under 18 games that are played in the Swansea.com stadium.
I thought it was free anyway.
Not for the ones in the stadium.
I thought they were, weren't they? I'm sure it was free for the.
No, you've got to pay.
Oh, okay.
The women's one the other day against Wrexham was like a 10, I think.
Ah, right, okay. I thought they were free. I thought all of them were free.
No.
I've been to a few before and they were free.
What, in the stadium?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm 99% sure it was free. I've been to one of them in the stadium.
Like a
and they were
5. I
free.
thought when I've been supposed to be like a 5 or something.
Maybe.
But it's all included. I don't know how many of them there'll be, because they probably
Yeah.
only
Watch out,
announce
they'll-
them just
they'll
in
stop
advance,
now.
don't they? It's not like pre-announced. It's like if they get certain stages of the cup and stuff sometimes, isn't it? So
Yeah, they'll stop now because they're free. They will never play in the stadium.
nah, they try and up the attendances for those things, and I think, to be fair, the women's one is going up and people are supporting them a lot more. There's a lot of emphasis going into that
Yeah.
to try and big up that branch of the club, and I think that's good.
To be fair, again, I think that is quite good because it will entice people to go as well, won't it?
Yeah.
That will get people in. So.
But is it free when the price has gone up? That's the question.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing to notice, I'm sure everyone will be aware of this if it affects you, but some of the East Stand is going to safe standing. Hasn't changed the price at all, and it hasn't changed the capacity of the stadium. But yeah, let us know what you think about safe standing.
I mean, it's been long overdue, isn't it? That is ridiculous because all they do is just, they don't like take away the seats or anything. They just put the bar in front of the seats, don't they? I mean, some away ends have got it. I've been to it in Cardiff, have got it as well. So when we've been to Cardiff away, they've got the barriers. It's just ridiculous when they expect people to. I know. I guess in the right setting, like it depends if you want to sit in the stadium and you want to sit down, that's fine. But then a lot of people go to the games, especially when you go away. You want to stand up and you want to make the atmosphere, and then they're just saying like, yeah, you need to sit down. It's just unrealistic. So I think it's just something that has to happen, and it's good because you can kind of say, well, if you want to stand up and do that, then this is the area.
Yeah. They probably should introduce it for the away end as well. I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, I don't know if they will. No, we
Interesting.
don't want to generate an atmosphere in the away end.
We want to generate an atmosphere. Like
Make sit down. Make them sit down.
everywhere. If the away fans are loud, and that entices the home fans to be loud, it's better all round, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, yeah.
There's not been much atmosphere there for a while, I think.
No, the
Which is a
atmosphere.
shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a nice picture of the stadium. That's this ended there for this week. So I guess we shall say Merry Christmas to everyone. We probably won't. Well, I might be on for a pre-match video for the Preston game, but other than that, I won't be on, I'd imagine, before Christmas, the same as you, Lee. So Merry Christmas to everyone that is listening or watching. Maybe we'll speak to you before New Year, but I'm not going to make any promises because it will depend on schedule. It's a busy time of year, so if we're not here, apologies, but I'm sure you can let us off. You'll all be enjoying your time off work and enjoying the festive season, I'm sure. So we'll be doing the same.
I'll be enjoying Boxing Day. I'm going to Southampton. That'll be fun.
Nice little subsidised bus ride for that, wasn't it?
Yeah. In all fairness, I think. Well, were they 15 quid for the bus? It's not bad.
I'm fortunately working this year.
Ah, yes.
Shame. Bring back 3 points.
Yeah. Well, I think half of our fan base will be in the home end, won't they, for Southampton? But I'll be in the away end.
Controversial. You're going to get cancelled now.
It'll be an interesting question to see if people want.
How many buses are going down for the home end?
Yeah. We'll see. No, we're going to win. We're going to bring back 3 points. Whoever the manager is.
It's a shame that we're going in without a manager at the moment because it's annoying, isn't it? He just wanted to go and beat Russell Martin, and now it's
is a shame.
Well, there's
Because,
not even a manager
again, I
to
think
take the plaudits.
Yeah, no, I think when it looked like Chris Davis was coming in and like we'd already ordered out tickets for the game, I was just thinking, Chris Davis will be in, and it'll be really exciting and it'll kind of give everyone a lift. But then we're kind of back to square one now.
Yeah. On that note, then we shall catch you after Christmas in the next episode. Hopefully, we'll have more clarity going into the new year next time we do get to chat, and we can start talking about what the next year and the future is for the Swans, I guess. So have a good one, and we shall see you after Christmas. Have a good Christmas. Merry Christmas,
See you soon.
everyone.